And you'll notice we are recording the session today. All right, here we go. Welcome, folks. Thank you for joining us today for the Charter Authorizer Support Initiative, or CASI, statewide informational meeting. We are so excited to have you here today. And as folks are just joining us, in case you hadn't heard previously, a couple of reminders about Zoom etiquette. As you are joining us, please do stay muted for the duration of the presentation portion and include any questions in the chat. There will be a more extended opportunity for question and answer after the initial presentation on CASI. And so to kick us off this morning, we have the Charter Schools Division Director here at the California Department of Education, Stephanie Farland, to kick us off with a few words.
Good morning, everyone. I am so excited to see everyone today. I am excited to see old friends who I haven't seen in a while. So really excited to have you all here today. You know, the department has been implementing and administering this federal grant for many, many years. And this is the first time that they have set aside money specifically for authorizer training. And so it was really good luck on my part. And, you know, I've been here for 2 years and we were working on the grant right when I started. And I was so excited to see that there was an authorizer portion to it, because as many of you know, and I've worked with many of you, I've been working on the authorizer side of charter schools for, gosh, almost 20 years now. So I was excited because I feel like the need is out there. I worked closely with other initiatives to bring training, authorizer training, to the field. So I am excited about this. And I'm also really happy with our partners who apply to work on this with us. So we are working with the Santa Clara County Office of Education and the California Charter Authorizing Professionals, CCAP, on this venture, and very lucky to have both of those organizations partnering with the Department of Ed in bringing authorizer training to California. You know, one of the things that I'm excited about with this particular grant is the federal government and the federal grant did include a requirement that we work with rural areas. And so I'm very excited about that. I'm very excited that, you know, we will be bringing the training and this opportunity for authorizer training to every part of the state. You know, we have a lot of small authorizers out in all of the corners of the state who oftentimes can't make it to trainings, can't make it to workshops or conferences. And so this is a real great part of the grant for the next 2 years. So I'm just really thrilled to see all of you here. You know, we will be learning from you as much as the field will be learning from us. We have a lot, and I mean a lot, of experienced authorizers on this call today, and who have signed up for the ListServ for CASI. So, you know, it is definitely a mutual learning environment. And we're very excited about the work to come. I wish I could stay on all day, but I'm sure many of you authorizers will understand that we are going through a revocation. One of the most not so fun things that an authorizer has to do. So we're bringing a revocation to the state board next week. And I have a lot going on today around that. So I will stay on as long as I can, but obviously leaving it in really capable hands with Allison, who is our grant manager, and the folks from CCAP and Santa Clara County office. So good morning and welcome, everyone.
All right, thank you so much, Stephanie, for kicking us off there. And as Stephanie said, I'm Allison Ball. I'm the grant manager for the Public Charter Schools Grant Program here at CDE. Also very, very excited to be here for the kickoff of CASI. For a little bit of context from the perspective of our grant, the Public Charter School Grant Program, or PCSGP, is a discretionary grant program administered by the California Department of Education on behalf of the State Board of Education. Under our current 2020 to 2023 grant, California was awarded approximately $41 million in grant funds. And you're probably very familiar with our most common subgrant, which is the startup subgrant for new and expanding charter schools. But as Stephanie said, we're very excited for the technical assistance opportunities under the 2020 grant, one of which just opened up last week. So I did want to plug that here, that the Regional Technical Assistance and Coaching Subgrant opened up last week, was just released, and offers funding directly for training and support to schools, to charter and non-charter schools. So if you're interested in learning more about that one, please go ahead and check out our website. But the one that brings us together today is our second technical assistance funding opportunity, which is the Charter School Authorizer Technical Assistance Provider Grant, under which the CDE was able to fund both CCAP and Santa Clara County Office of Education to provide technical assistance to charter school authorizers across the state. And the program of support is the Charter Authorizer Support Initiative, or CASI, which is going to support authorizers. We are just very excited about this new opportunity. And with that, I get to introduce the folks in the room who are going to be taking on the rest of the presentation. From Santa Clara County Office of Education, Director of their Charter Schools program is Mifala Fairley, Associate Director, Dr. Michelle Johnson, Administrator, Dr. Julia Aguirre, and Fiscal Administrators Shalu Sharma and Cynthia Tapia. From the California Charter Authorizing Professionals, Executive Director Tom Hutton is with us today. Board President Dave Patterson and Treasurer Debbie Deal here in spirit, and Kim Wake Cooper, Project Support. So with that, I'm going to kick it over to Tom to get us started.
Thank you, Allison, and thank you everyone for joining us. We know how busy everyone is. We have had a long experience with that at CCAP, and we know we're just so grateful when people are generous with their time for this very important work. This is the, before you on the screen is what we have, kind of how we have coined the mission of CASI. That's to support our charter school authorizers in our state by ensuring that, you know, the law part is in there, meeting requirements of the law, but ensuring bottom line charters are serving students well. And as Stephanie alluded to, you know, a big emphasis of this grant is on the particular needs of small and rural authorizers. We know that, you know, over 90% of our authorizers have 6 or fewer charter schools in their portfolios, and actually 2/3 of them have only 1 or 2. And we know, of course, that, you know, 2/3 of our districts themselves are small with 2,500 or fewer students. So it is not at all uncommon in our state for authorizers to have someone who has a lengthy job description, and one of those many duties is their authorizing duty. And so we are particularly excited to be able to focus a lot of attention on that. I think we've got something going on with, oh, there we go, the slide's back. And I wanted to take a moment also to acknowledge one of our key strategic partners. Certainly for CCAP, we're kind of joined at the hip with them, but they're also helping us think strategically about this grant and helping us with the planning there. And that's our Small School Districts Association. And I know, Tim Taylor, I think you were planning on being here. I can't see everybody at once. So Tim, if you are here and can pop in and say a couple words, we'd welcome that. I know they're gearing up for their conference next week. So if he wasn't able to make it, I understand. And well, if Tim, if you're not, is Justin here by any chance? Justin Cunningham? Justin, you want to say hi real quick? Put you on the spot.
Sure, I can do that. Now, working with the small school districts, and so many of them do authorize charters and need some support as we're going through a project. I'm the project lead for the DHISA charter oversight team, and that's been going on for 3 years now, and has been very successful. And so we're looking at doing everything we can to help. All
right, thanks very much. With that, I think I'm turning things over to Mifula for a moment here.
You are. Thanks, Tom. So good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Next slide. Great. Thank you. So we have a couple of ways that you reached out to us. One is by joining our listserv. I think that Amy is going to drop a link into the chat where you can send a blank email to the listserv, and we will add you to the list. We will push out information to you to invite you to join our various events. And so we hope you take a moment to join the listserv. And you can also share it with other folks that you know, either other people in your office or in neighboring districts or county offices who are not here today. The second way of reaching out to us or to find out information is by checking out our website, which I believe Amy's going to drop a link into the chat for the website as well. The website is where we're going to be sharing resources, including materials and recordings. So this meeting will be posted there along with the materials. And we also have, so bookmark it and you can find us quickly later. And then finally, we wanted to share our email address with you. So I think Amy is going to drop that in as well, but we are at CASI at cde.ca.gov. So you can direct questions to us at that email address. And I think next is Tom.
All right, back to me. One of the biggest features of our plan for implementing this, we have kind of a variety of tools in our toolkit for CASI, but one of the things that we thought we would try is trying to break down our very vast state into some regional hubs for folks who are already used to interacting with one another more at the regional level. And we're doing that by identifying some partner county offices of education in each of the regions of North, Central, and South, who can sort of lead the way of trying to, encourage people's participation, trying to facilitate and host some of those meetings at a regional level, and taking advantage of, as I said, existing communications networks. Now, it's not only the case that, it'll only be districts in the county in which they're situated, because we don't have every single county. We have some that we'll identify in a moment, and we're recruiting more, but we just want a sort of a distribution throughout the state so that that county can be a regional hub, not only in its own county, but in abutting counties in the area. And so we're going to have some of the trainings that we're going to be doing, and some of the deeper dive trainings will be through these regional hubs with some meetings that'll happen regionally. But we'll be reinforcing that through the central sort of online meetings that we do. We'll also be creating some space for the continuation of those regional discussions. That way we also can, if we're finding that in a particular region, there's a particular authorizing challenge that is more urgently on people's my hair on fire list than another one, we don't have to have the exact same lockstep approach in every region. We can tweak things to make sure we're responding to people's needs. We also, I mentioned our partnership with SSDA. We have another terrific partnership that we're excited about to help us on the fiscal side of things. And FCMAT is going to help us with that role. And I believe Michelle Giacomini was going to be able to join us this morning. And so just like Justin, Michelle, if you were able to join us, you're able to pop in and just say hello real quick. We wanted to introduce you and welcome you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Michelle Giacomini, and I work for FCMAT, and I'm very happy to be here this morning and to be part of this wonderful opportunity. And I look forward to working with all of you.
Thanks, Michelle. And if we can go to the next slide. So this is currently our lineup of kind of regional hub partners. If you look at it, and we broke it down here more into 5 rather than the 3 big regions. But we have Reading, Nate Fairchild, El Dorado, Janice Kwan. Sutter County is Joe Hendricks. Contra Costi is Neil McChesney. Mono is Stacy Adler. Riverside, Corey Loomis. and LACO, Indra Ciccarelli. And so we've got a really great lineup of very experienced authorizers who like Santa Clara County, not only are experienced in authorizing in their own right, but have these communications and are accustomed to convening authorizers in their area to try to do some collective problem solving. So we're very excited about that. One of the things that'll be happening with these regional hubs is we'll be having some quarterly meetings where there's a little bit of a deeper dive. And some of the more in-depth training that we'll be delivering and making available to people as part of this program will be happening through those folks. So you'll be looking forward, if you're a district in the area, some of the communication you'll be get on the CASI ListServ, and we'll be reinforcing everything there, but also some of the communication we anticipate coming, through your regional hubs. And with that, I think I turn it over to Michelle.
So, good morning. It is my pleasure to share about our monthly charter chats. These are going to be virtual meetings, which will be hosted on the last Wednesday of every month at 10 a.m. and we're starting in March. These are going to be statewide meetings, and they'll also include opportunities for regional breakout rooms to piggyback onto our regional hubs. The meetings will be in a discussion forum, and thus they're going to be a little less formal than the regional quarterly hub meetings. They'll focus on sharing out the latest information, best practice tips and tricks, hot topics from the field. There'll be Q&A opportunities, and then we'll also have those follow-ups from the regional hub meetings. And so go on to the next slide.
You're on mute.
So we also have our Charter Authorizing and Oversight 101. This is going to be an opportunity for districts and COE staff that are new to charter authorizing, or potential charter authorizing staff, or anyone who needs a refresher on charter school oversight. These trainings will be about a half day or a full day training, and they'll be attached to a pre-conference. There'll be a pre-conference training that is attached to an existing conference where charter authorizers may be attending. These trainings can also be presented at our regional hub meetings. And so some of the content that will be part of the CASI Oversight and Authorizing 101 includes the basics of, like, what is a charter? What is the role of an authorizer? But it'll also have information about petition review, appeals, renewals, monitoring and oversight, how to open a new school, Prop 39, revocation, school closures. So essentially, it is going to give you a really good oversight of an overview of how to handle a charter school, and then give you connections and resources to our regional hubs and our charter chats. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mifala.
So the last of our strategies, I would say, is that every year we will be sending out a general information survey. So the survey is based on what your needs are and will help us determine what and where help is most needed. So at each event, we will also have a feedback questionnaire at the end of the event, just to gauge how we're doing, are we meeting your needs, and how you are doing, are you adopting the best practices that we're sharing. So we haven't quite finished the survey just yet, but it will be coming out shortly. It'll take about 15 minutes or so to complete. So we're really hoping that you will fill it out, and it'll be digital. You'll probably get it from multiple sources, from the ListServ as well as from your regional hub COE partners. So that is one of the strategies that we're using in this grant. So now that we've shared those strategies with you, I want to launch a poll just to get an idea of which items you think, which strategies you think you would like to be participating in. So I've launched the poll, and if you could just take a few seconds to answer the questions, that'd be great.
And while people are doing that, I'll just chime in that I may have neglected to mention when I was describing the quarterly regional meetings, is those are intended to be hybrid. So, you know, there's just so much value to being able to meet in person when COVID allows, but we also know people are super busy. So there'll be an online option for those. If 100% of the people want to meet in person, well, we can save some AV. If 100% of the people are, I'm too busy to travel there to drive over, so I'm going to do it virtually, you know, we can approach that kind of on an as needed basis. But just in case that affects your thinking about your likelihood to participate there.
Before we just move on to the next item on our agenda, I just want to point out that it looks like our Charter Authorizing and Oversight 101 is going to be very popular. And that'll be followed by the regional hub meetings, the quarterly meetings, followed by the monthly charter chats, and least popular is the annual survey. But I'm really hoping that more than 58% of you will actually participate in that, because it'll help us determine what you need and what you want. All right, so moving on to the next slide, we are now going to talk about some of the hot topics that are on our plates these days. And we're gonna have a little bit of fun with it. So we're gonna cover audit guide, independent study rules, LCAP, dashboard, community schools, current legislation, Williams Act, and student board members. And the way we're gonna do that is through using the chat feature, and we're gonna do a waterfall. So the way it will work is that we will put on the screen a question with 4 possible answers. We're gonna want you to read the question carefully and read the answer selections carefully, and then type your answer choice, A, B, C, or D, into the chat, but don't hit enter. Just type it in there. And when we prompt you to hit enter, then everyone will hit enter at the same time, and we'll see a waterfall of answers, and we can kind of get an idea of whether or not people are on the same page about the answer. And then one of us will give you the correct answer and kind of explain why it is the correct answer and what the key nugget of information is that you need to have. So we're gonna start with a practice question. And so on your screen, you should see the practice question. Again, I will read this one for you and read the answer choices. You're only gonna type your answer choice into the chat. Don't hit enter until I prompt you to. So the question is, what does the acronym CASI, C-A-S-I, represent? Is it A, confused authorizers seeking inspiration? B, charter accountability and systems information? C, charter authorizer support initiative? Or D, California authorizing structured intuitively? So type your answer into the chat. And in about 5 seconds, I will prompt you. Okay, let's hit enter. All right. Okay, we have mostly answer choice C. I have a few B's and a couple of D's. The answer, correct answer, next slide, is answer choice C, Charter Authorizer Support Initiative. And we're calling it CASI, like the girl's name, Cassie. All right, so I think everyone's got it. Just remember that you're not gonna hit enter until you are prompted to do so. All right.
I just have to chime in here if I could, Mifala.
Sure.
Some brain cells were expended on how we shall pronounce CASI. Taking our inspiration from the fact that there's like 9 ways to pronounce DOS schools, dash schools, DAS schools. We said, we're gonna settle it. Is it CASI? Is it CASI? Is it? And we decided on CASI is least confusing.
Right, great. So the first question is going to be, I don't remember who's doing the first question.
I am.
Okay, thanks.
So the first question is, when was the deadline for a charter school to submit its audit for the 2020-21 school year? Is it A, December 15th, 2020, B, April 15th, 2021, C, December 15th, 2021, or D, January 31st, 2022? I'll give you a few seconds. Everyone have their answer? All right, hit submit. So next slide, the answer is D. A is incorrect because that was the due date in the 1920 audit. B is incorrect because while tax day is an important date to remember, it is not the requirement for the audit, and it was also prior to June 30th, which was the closing date for the 2020-21 school year. C is also incorrect because while December 15th is usually the date that an audit must be submitted, AB SB 167 extended the audit submission deadline. So D is the correct answer. Next slide. Question 2. At what point does a charter school need to offer daily synchronous instruction opportunities to a student? Is it A, 0 days, charter schools do not have to offer independent study, B, 15 days, C, 14 days, D, it depends on the grade level of the student? All right, hit submit. Ooh, we have a lot of different answers. All right, next slide. The answer is actually B. This is kind of a trick question. Daily synchronous instruction only applies to TK through 3rd grade students, and charter schools are not required to offer independent study. But if they do offer independent study, the answer is B, which is 15 days, because on day 15, cumulative, not consecutive, the school must offer daily synchronous instruction to TK through 3rd grade students. Next slide.
All right, so I'll take it from here. So the next question is, which items are required for the supplement for the annual update to the 2021-22 LCAP? A, mid-year expenditure and implementation data on key actions in the LCAP, or is it B, mid-year outcome data related to the 2021-22 LCAP metrics? Is it C, board approval by February 28th, or is it D, all of the above? Take about 5 seconds to enter your answer into the chat. Not yet. Okay, now hit enter. Okay, next slide. And the answer is actually B, and let me tell you why. So although all of those answers have an element of being correct, some of them are kind of changed to be a little tricky. So A is not the correct answer because it says that you're only going to be submitting the key actions when in fact it is all the actions in the LCAP. So you want to make sure that your charter schools know that. They're focusing on all the expenditure and implementation actions. C is not the correct answer because the board does not have to approve the LCAP. They only have to have a presentation. So LCAPs don't have to go to charter boards for approval. They just need to go so that they can hear them. So B is the correct answer. All right, next slide. And who's that?
All right, so question 4. What information will be shared on the 2021-2022 California dashboard? A, just demographic information as we are still dealing with COVID. B, demographic and local indicators. C, demographics, local indicators, and status for valid and reliable data. Or D, demographics, local indicators, status, and change. All right, hit your answer. All right, next slide. Everybody got it. The answer is C. There will be no colors on the 21-22 dashboard. It will only show status, not change. Next slide.
I think that's
Okay, and that one's me. So question 5 has to do with the community school initiative. And the question is, in what ways may becoming a community school impact a charter school? So A is the amount of space needed and the usage of space at the school facility. B, the amount and intensity of the interaction with mental health providers for all those wraparound services. C, the financial plan for continuation of services after grant funding is exhausted. Or D, all of the above. So everybody tee up their answers. We'll give it a couple of seconds here and then let them loose. Yeah, it looks like pretty much everybody got this. It's all of the above. They want you to plan it all out, tell you how you're going to sustain it beyond the life of the grant, and it's a heavy lift, but there's a lot of funding opportunity there for schools that want to contemplate that route. So next question. Here's a legislative one, and I should mention that one of the things that expressly CASI is to help deliver under the grant is to keep people up to date on what's happening in Sacramento with new initiatives, new legal requirements, or even sort of pending sorts of things. And this is an example of that. So which legislative proposals currently are in motion in the legislature? Answer A is new requirements for financial oversight of non-classroom based charter schools. B, a 2-year hiatus for school districts from having to consider charter petitions to allow some more time for pandemic recovery. C, proposed changes to special education funding formulas related to LEAs and SELPAs. Or A and C. So if you want to take a sec, I guess, well, just let them loose. People are sending them, so I guess this is the waterfall. And we have a variety of answers here. We've had some C, some D, some A and C and D, and then a couple others. So the next slide, the answer actually is C. And that's, again, this one is a little bit tricky because there is stalled legislation out there on we've had the moratorium on new non-classroom based schools, and that's been a topic of conversation. It's a very thorny one, and it is sort of, there's one bill that's kind of dead at this point. Last I checked, the other one was technically alive, but going nowhere. So the one that is moving is the revising how we approach the funding calculation for special education. Still delivered through SELPAs, but with reference to some of the member LEAs and their changing enrollment versus just the SELPA sort of constituent districts as a whole. So on to the next.
Okay, that one's me. So question number 7, which charter schools will be identified for Williams monitoring? A, charter schools are not subject to the Williams settlement. B, charter schools identified for comprehensive support and improvement, or CSI, and additional targeted support, or ATSI. C, charter schools in which 15% or more of the teachers do not possess a valid and clear or preliminary teaching credential, or D, answer choices B and C. Okay, hit enter. All right. Okay, so next slide, please. The correct answer choice was B and C, so most folks got that right. So Williams charter schools who either fall into CSI or ATSI will be subject to the full Williams treatment. In addition, charter schools who have 15% or more of their teachers not possessing a valid or clear credential will also fall into Williams and get the full Williams treatment. So question number 8.
All right, and this one is back to me. So under state law, what are the requirements for a student to be considered to be appointed to serve on the charter schools governing board? So A is a petition for representation filed with 500 student signatures or the signatures of 10% of the student body. B, The individual has to be a high school student who attends a charter school, or if it's a network or an operator, one of the charter schools that is managed by the same board. B, the student can be under the age of 18, or are all of the above true. So tee up your questions and I'll tell you when to hit send. Going once, going twice. Let's let it go. And everybody looks like they got this one right. So the next slide is yes, it's all of the above. We've had this in districts for a while, and AB 824 extended that to those of you who are in county offices, to your boards, but also to the charter schools.
All right, thanks. Next slide, please. So if you have any questions about any of the topics that we just covered on this slide, we have hyperlinks to web pages where you can find additional information on each of the topics. And in addition, you can ask us some questions, clarifying questions a little later if you choose to. Next slide, please. So I wanted to just share with you some of the upcoming events. We have the survey need survey that will be coming out in a week or two. We also have Charter Authorizing 101 in a couple of places. One, it'll be at the SSDA conference on March 7th at 1:50. And then the second time we'll be offering it is at the CCAP conference on June 24th at 9 to 5. So the one at SSDA will be a half-day workshop, and then at CCAP we'll have a full day pre-conference Oversight 101 training. In addition, at SSDA, we will have a TA, technical assistance workshop. So if you have any questions about specific issues that you want to talk to somebody about, you can just drop in and ask your questions. That'll be happening on March 6th and 7th. Tom, is there a specific time, or are you guys just going to be sitting there all day?
I think that there's a specific time that they have, that SSDA has it set. And it's sort of like a big room where there's different tables you can go to. If you needed to ask somebody about Title IX, there's somebody on there, different things, and we'll be set up. Whichever time blocks they have, that will be there. And we're going to be at the conference anyway. So grab us at the reception, or I think they're having a Monte Carlo night or something. There's a lot of stuff going on there, and we'll be there to be able to help out.
And when you say we, it's you, Michelle, and Dave, right?
That's right. Yep.
All right. And then we will have our first monthly charter chat on March 30th at 10 a.m. If you've signed up for the ListServ, we will be pushing that out, the registration for that out through the ListServ. And then we will start our quarterly regional hub meetings in April. We don't have a date for that just yet, but we should confirm the date for that pretty soon and send that out through the ListServ. Next slide, please. Additionally, we have included this slide so that you can contact us. All of us are listed here with hyperlinks for emails and our phone numbers. So if you need to find us or ask any questions, you can go back to this slide and get in touch. Next slide, please.
Ms. Mifula, while you were talking, there were some questions in the chat about, can we get the slides? And we will be sending those around. Allison, did you have something you maybe want to chime in about the ListServ and about the website and those sorts of things?
Yep, same thing, Tom. I was just noticing in the chat, we've got folks asking for the PowerPoint, so we'll send the slide deck out to all folks who attended or registered for the event today. Additionally, we will be creating an archive on the CASI website that will include PowerPoints and captioned videos of our events. So those are all forthcoming, and any updates to the website, like those archive postings, will be shared via the ListServ. So if you're signed up through the ListServ, you'll be in the know whenever we have new postings on the website.
Thank you for responding to those questions. Okay, next slide, please. So we, for this meeting, have a less than 5-minute survey that we would like you to take. And the link for that is in the chat. So if you could just take a few minutes to fill that out. After about 3 or 4 minutes, we will move on to questions and answers. We've got 60 seconds more. Alrighty, so we will take any questions that you have now. So you can unmute and ask your question, or you can drop your question in the chat.
You also know where to reach us now if you want to prefer to send a question by email, or if if people don't have questions right now. I mean, maybe we have a few minutes if anybody had any observations from their own standpoint, either substantive things that we talked about in our kind of trivia game, or just about your office and this initiative. We'd like to hear that too. And maybe as you're saying something, maybe a question will pop into somebody's mind. Does anybody just have any observations or? Oh, it looks like Tammy has a raised hand.
Good morning, and thank you for putting this all together for us. Actually had a substantive question that I wondered if folks might be open to talking about. We are in San Francisco Unified School District. I think there's 2 of us in here in the meeting today, and we had a charter school who closed for several days due to staffing shortages because of COVID-19, but they left the school open and they said, it's not for instruction, but you can send your kids here. I just wondered kind of around the field, like what folks are doing around some of the, on the oversight side around some of these semi-closures, or if folks have experienced that and what you're doing.
I want to give other folks a chance to share what they've been doing with their charter schools in terms of oversight in that situation. But we at Santa Clara County Office of Ed have done some things. Okay, so if there's no one else, Michelle, I'll get started and maybe you can jump in and add on. So one of the things that we did is ask charter schools to contact us before they made a decision to close. We wanted to do everything possible to assist them in staying open. Apparently, there's been discussion that any J13A waivers that they submit because they closed due to